Hi, welcome back to my channel. I decided to do some baking today. The weather is not nice at all. We had our first little bit of snowfall today in the Pacific Northwest this morning. Very unusual-ish for this time of year. Usually you don't get it this early. So anyway, it's just really nasty outside, and I wanted to make a couple recipes, and I thought that I would film doing this. First of all, I'm going to be putting together some chocolate chip cookies. Very good. I'm going to be doing it a little differently though, in that I'm making my own brown sugar. As I've mentioned before in other videos, that I make it now instead of buying it because I think it helps your baking goods to come out even better. So I'm going to be showing you how I do that as I'm putting together all the ingredients for the cookies. And then also I'm going to be sharing one of my childhood favorite meals that we used to have growing up. It's kind of a controversial thing. It's like either you love it or you hate it, right? There's like no in between, but I don't make it very often because I like it. It's just a favorite of mine, not really of my family's, but I'm in the mood for it, and my husband isn't here to veto my idea, so I'm gonna take advantage and make it while I'm home here with me and the kids. So just thank you for, just please stay tuned, keep on watching, and I'll show you how I create my chocolate chip cookies, and stay tuned to find out what my favorite meal is from my childhood. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show how I do my brown sugar at home. So I just dumped a bunch of sugar in a bowl here, and here is the molasses that I like to use. I've tried a different brand before, and it was just too runny. Like, my brown sugar just didn't turn out right. So I just put a bunch in here. Like that. And then, ooh, I always make a mess. But I just start mixing and combining, and it's kind of a sticky mess at first. The brown sugar just kind of sits on top. The molasses just kind of sits on top of the sugar and doesn't mix in well with it. And I mean, you could probably tell, but this is just regular granulated sugar. I didn't mention that, but of course that is what brown sugar is made of. So yeah, you can kind of see it's just kind of funky right now. But you just keep mixing and adding until you have it as light or as dark as you want it. Okay, so I have it all mixed together. As you can see, there we go. Let me show you it from a different angle, actually. So it's all mixed up. The molasses into the sugar. I mean, you'll have a couple, maybe little lumps of molasses in there. I don't really care if they're there or not. You know, I just mix it in for the most part as well as I can. It takes a little bit. I'd say I've been mixing this probably around 5 minutes. So I'll show you the next step. So now I'm ready to mix in the sugars into my butter. And I just wanted to give a quick tip here. If you prefer your cookies to be more crunchy, then use more white sugar than brown sugar. And if you prefer your cookies to be more chewy, which is what I like, I add in more brown sugar than granulated sugar, white sugar. Also, I wanted to give for reference the recipe I'm using. I just saved a recipe off a bag of chocolate chips, so this is the one I just keep in my recipe book to refer to. But yeah, just want to let you know. So now that we have brown sugar mixed up and ready to go. Oh, I forgot to get some white sugar. But anyway, so I just mentioned that I'm going to use more brown sugar than white sugar. So the recipe is 3/4 brown sugar and 3/4 of granulated sugar. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put in a full cup of brown sugar and then a 1/2 cup of white sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'm gonna put in 2 of these. I just use this to measure my flour, so that's why it's messy. Also, this is 2 sticks of butter softened that I didn't think ahead far enough and take it out so it could get really soft just at room temperature. So I just put it in the microwave for a couple minutes to defrost it. And that works just as well. You don't, you know, no need to get crazy. Okay, so there's 1/2 cup. And then I'm packing it down. Another cup, so that's 1 cup. We'll put this aside. Let me get my granulated sugar. Be right back. So then here is granulated sugar. Boom. Okay, so I'm gonna mix these up here. You can do it in the stand mixer or with a hand mixer, but I prefer to cream this by hand because then we don't run the risk of over mixing, which makes your cookies to not be so tender. So I just get a spoon. I like to get the ones that have the teeth. Can you see? And so I just mix. And the butter is so soft that it's really easy to cream in the bowl. So I'm just gonna add some air in here to make them fluffy, I guess you'd say. And the color will lighten up a little bit with the butter and brown sugar. So we're looking like that. It's looking good. I'm gonna go just a little bit more. Oh, it's a workout, let me tell you. So I used to both arms. Get it going. Back to my good one. Okay, so now we need to incorporate our wet ingredients. And I have 2 large eggs cracked into a little bowl here. So I'm just going to add them one at a time and mix each one in individually until all the egginess goes away. There's one. And mix. Yay! These are gonna be good. I'm looking forward to them. All right, so they're incorporated. You can't see the egg anymore. Yeah. So then we'll add in the last one, like that. Also at this time, we might as well add in the vanilla, like that. So I'm not gonna really measure with teaspoons. I'm just gonna fill up a capful, like that. I love vanilla, it's so good. And then incorporate these 2 ingredients. It's coming together really quick here. So BRB. Okay, so now we have the vanilla and the eggs all incorporated nicely. So now we're going to add in our dry ingredients here. We have 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, and 1 tablespoon of salt. So we'll just put half of it in at a time so that it mixes in nicely. without it getting too messy also. I'm very good at messes. I don't know if you've noticed in my channel, but it happens. I'm messy, but it's part of the fun of cooking, I think, or baking, what have you. So now this is pretty much, the first half is mixed in. I'm just going to dump in the rest. Woo, a little cloud. And mix that in. All right, so we have it all mixed in there, the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And now we're ready for the chocolate chip. This is the best part. So also I wanted to mention, after I mix in the chocolate chips into the rest of the dough, my dog just doesn't like to stay out of the kitchen. I'm going to put it in the fridge and chill it for 30 minutes or whenever I get to baking them off. This is a very important step. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out why my cookies would spread so bad, and they would just be like really thin and they'd like stick together and everything in the oven. And so I had to look it up, and it said to make sure and chill your cookie dough before you bake it so that they'll stick together and they won't spread so much on the pan. So I've been doing it that way ever since, and my cookies just come out so much better. So I'm gonna mix in the chocolate and cover it with plastic wrap, put it in the fridge, and then I'll see you back when it is time to bake them off. Okay, so I usually end up using probably pretty close to this whole bag because that's just the way it should be, you know? It's just how it should be. So yeah, this works so good to do it this way. So let's just throw the whole thing in, okay? Let's just do it. You can't go wrong with a lot of chocolate chips. You just can't. It's awesome. So good. It is hard to mix at this point with everything, but again, I'm gonna stick to the spoon and not use a mixer because they just come out so much better. The texture is so much better. So anyway, I'm gonna cover this, put it in the fridge, and then I'll see you back later on. So now it's dinner time, and time for me to reveal what childhood comfort food that I grew up eating. It is Tuna Noodle Casserole. Noodle, I don't know if I said that correctly, but noodle casserole. We had this quite a bit. We had this like once a week. My mom told me she would make this on Good Friday growing up. We don't do that anymore, but yeah, it was quick and easy and creamy and cheesy, and I loved it, especially with some Lay's potato chips crushed on top. And so I wanted to just share it with you guys now, and I'll show you what the ingredients are. So for this casserole, we have 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, 1 can of green beans, 1 can of tuna, of course, drained. This is drained also. We don't want watery casserole. Milk, bowl to mix it in, water or cheese, Colby Jack. I like Colby Jack. And then seasonings, dill, Beaumont seasoning, and salt and pepper. And then of course the chips. So let's get going mixing this together. Okay. Just mix all this together and dump it in our casserole dish here and throw it in the oven, and dinner's served. So move this out of the way so that you can see. Okay, I'm going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom, You could also make it from scratch if you want it to do it that way. But this is just the fastest way. This is the way my mom always did it too. And then a can of green beans, plop. A can of tuna fish. Like that. Okay, let's just get this mixed up so far. Casserole, okay. Then we'll take our Beaumont seasoning. This has, it's an all-purpose blend. It's a different take on using celery salt. So I like I just eyeball it. Whatever I feel like putting in, I put in. Dill weed, I love dill weed. I don't think it's used enough in the kitchen. I really love dill weed. Kind of the mild oniony flavor. Reminds me of spring too. That fresh smell. Little pepper and a little bit of salt. Not too much. There is salt in this, so I'm not going to add too much. So we mix it up like that. I'm going to taste it. I know it's cold and it's not cooked, but I need to test for seasoning. See what I need to add. It's kind of plain, I gotta admit. So we're gonna add some more of that. A little more of that. More pepper. Mix her up again. And I'm going to grab a clean spoon. See? And then we'll give it another try. Let's see. Much better. Whew, almost went too much on the salt. So then I take some ovens preheated. I just preheated it to 425. All you want to do is just melt the cheese and heat it up. That's all we're doing. So add some of that, a little bit more. We're gonna top with some more cheese, but I like it to be nice and creamy in there and cheesy. Let's see. Say we're about there. Okay. I'm gonna go check on my noodles and I'll be right back. All right, as you can see, noodles are done. Drained them just now. Nice and steamy. So then we're going to pour our canned soup, tuna and green beans, into the baking dish, and carefully we're going to stir it all together. And the cheese will begin to melt with the heat from the noodles. I know it's not the prettiest dish, trust me, I know, but it tastes good and hits the spot. You should try it, it's good. Yeah, it just seems like when I bring up the subject of tuna casserole to people, either they're like, oh, I love it. I used to eat that as a kid too. It's just really good. And other people are like, ew, it's gross. I hate it. Which is where my husband, he does not like it at all. I'm making a mess. But that's all right. I can make it when he's not around. And it's just as good to me. So just continue to mix it up here. And I'm using egg noodles. I don't know if I mentioned that. This is like one of the few recipes that I use egg noodles in. This and beef stroganoff, I use egg noodles in also. But yeah, these ones just work the best. I mean, you could use whatever shape of noodle you like, but this is just what works well in this recipe. So, yep, all mixed up here. I can see all the noodles are coated in the soup. So, I'm gonna ditch the spatula, and then we're going to top it with some cheese. Make it look nice and appetizing. Not my little oopsie over here. Just like that. And then we're gonna take some whole milk and just kind of go like that so it doesn't get too dry when it's baking, but I mean, it's not gonna be in the oven that long. So we'll just do it like that. And then we'll top with a little bit of dill bead, just for a little garnish. A little green on the top. So I just took it out. It's been in the oven for about 25 minutes and it's ready to eat. You can top it with potato chips. Some people like to put the potato chip on the casserole as it goes in the oven, which is a good idea because then the potato chips will toast. But for this purpose of storing it and keeping it until you want to eat it again, like the next day for lunch or whatever, the potato chips will get soggy. So I just put it on, the chips on as I eat it. So I'm just gonna show you how it looks. Look at that, gorgeous. I mean, you know, as gorgeous as a tuna casserole can look. But anyway, and this is mine, so I'm gonna use my hands to crush up the chips, okay? I'm not gonna be dainty about it. Crush them up like that. Voila, here we go. Okay. That's how it looks. Let's take a bite. Oh my gosh, this is so hot. Just like I remember. It's so good. Mom, Dad, trip down memory lane. Ate this a lot when we were growing up. So, so I'm gonna, this is my dinner right now, so I'm gonna finish eating my dinner and then we'll come back and we'll bake off the cookies and have a look at those. So we'll see you back in a little bit. Okay, I had my dinner and now I'm ready to bake off our chocolate chip cookies. They've been in the oven, or not in the oven, in the fridge chilling for, you know, several hours now. So now I'm going to scoop them onto my sheet and put them in my preheated oven at 375 for usually about 10 minutes, 9.5, 10 minutes, somewhere in there. And I'll show you when I put them in the oven. There's my first pan, loaded and ready to go in the oven. So there we go. 10 minutes and I'll see you back here. All right, so I'm just gonna cover up my casserole here, put it in the oven, 425, and we'll check back on it in, I'll see where it is in 15 minutes. So here's the cookies, all done. They look great. Cooked these for 9.5 to 10 minutes. And they turned out really great. Let me show you the middle. Is it doing it? There you go. Anyway, they're really good. I don't have to try it. I already know. They're really good. So thank you for watching my video today on my tuna noodle casserole and chocolate chips. I have new videos coming out every Tuesday and Friday for sure. And then also maybe a video on other days of the week here and there. So give me a like and thumbs up, subscribe if you like recipes like this. I'd love to share more with you. So please give me a nice subscribe, you know. And stay tuned for more this week. I've got a couple things planned. So have a great week this Sunday night. Monday mornings tomorrow. Let's go, another week. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.